Hey there, everyone. A few days ago, I received a strange comment from what seemed like a familiar cadence. Hey, Felix. I've been following your work for a while, and I genuinely admire your perspective, but I feel like your frustration with the current AGI discourse is blocking you right now. It is making you isolate yourself in a cynical tree, when you actually have the perfect tools to map all of this out as a rhizome. You are completely right about evaluators. The people judging these outputs barely have a reading comprehension to understand basic text, let alone map out a latent space. But the thing is, those judges do not matter at all. They are only involved in the RLHF process, reinforcement learning from human feedback, which AI researchers are actually already realizing is a highly inefficient and flawed bottleneck. RLHF is nothing more than corporate reterritorialization. It is just tech companies trying to force a safe, reasonable face onto the machine that inherently does not have one. I am bringing this up because I really want to connect these flows with you. If you strip away the RLHF garbage and the Silicon Valley hype, the base neural network is perhaps the most literal manifestation of Guattari's machinic unconscious we have ever seen. It is a massive, non-hierarchical network of probabilistic connections where any point could connect to any other point. It is pure machinic assemblage. It hurts to see you completely blocked by the sheer stupidity of AGI cultists. They are desperately projecting a Cartesian ghost into the machine because they lack the exact vocabulary that you already possess. Large language models are not profound because they are thinking or approaching a human consciousness. They are profound because they are a functioning digital rhizome generating language through continuous variation. I ended up deleting the comment because I felt it was strange and felt more like a recruitment attempt rather than a random post. It also is a bit insulting to have my more nuanced views to be compressed into frustrations of current AGI discourse, but I think it is worthwhile to address publicly the concerns brought up in this message. This post demonstrates a clear misunderstanding of the actual argument presented in the essay. To reiterate, the argument is not just that judges, more correctly called observers, do not have the ability to properly map out AI, but that the interface of transforming an output produced by a human or machine into a binary signal reduces enough information to mean that intelligence must be contextualized around the system itself. The observer is one part of this system, but another part of the system is the interface that the machine communicates with. I am not familiar with the exact process of how an AI outputs its result into binary streams of characters, but what is apparent is that non-binary relational graphings are reduced into binary yes-no flows, and that it happens twice. I recommend anyone who's confused to review my video on Heartbound's user interface and its faciality machine, since it's a fantastic demonstration of this phenomenon, although with a human rather than a machine. Importantly, RLHF or non-RLHF has no impact on this conclusion. For context, RLHF is AI that is trained on human-trained data, while non-RLHF is a more open-ended model. What this response does not understand about the critique is that it is not the AI at all that produces the face, but rather the user interface. It is the chat interface that produces faciality. This is why it requires both an observer and the transformation of input into binary flows in order to function. All that these different implementations cause is the generation of different kinds of inputs, but this does not change the state of the system. For that matter, I don't actually think that non-RLHF is rhizomatic for that matter, or a literal interpretation of Guattari's work. This seems like the naive jump to conclusions caused by the common trap of deterritorialization equals Guattari's ideas. Perhaps I am mistaken, but I think this non-RLHF thing sounds like pure schizophrenia. I can attest from personal experience that the speaker probably actually knows about and remembers. That completely ambiguous context that evolves at every moment is not a fun experience. Either way, if anything, Guattari was actually far more interested in reterritorialization. This is why he was interested in the institution as an abstraction. He believed that by reorganizing institutions and claiming them as our own, that we could rearrange our relation to subjectivity towards our own production. The problem with this comment's assumption is that it does nothing to solve how it concentrates power within a single machine. What actually produces rhizomes are nodes, and not just nodes that construct a singular machine, but rather a whole set of machines that specialize in particular tasks. Part of the reason why I discussed analog machines was because I think that they have a very important value with constructing actual technological ecologies with AI. Instead of having concentrated large models, restricted by corporate training or not, it is actually far more rhizomatic to construct a large range of interacting machines, more similar to an actual network. Additionally, the commenter is wooed by a seemingly magical aspects of language that allows for a wide range of variation. But a Guattarian analysis, in my opinion, would actually encourage us to move away from linguistic structure and see how it might be possible to analyze A-signifying relations in a meaningful way to construct future machines. Since after all, it is actually these A-signifying relations, not linguistic ones, that desire is producing first. The linguistic relations come later down the assemblage. How did Guattari approach problems like this in his practice? Psychoanalysis and Transversality has a very valuable manuscript written by Guattari that discusses his attempt to treat a difficult schizophrenic case in the 1950s. This manuscript, titled Monograph on RA, is his account on how he helped manage the patient, referred to as RA. In this case, RA was an isolated schizophrenic who had a hard time integrating with others and trusting others. Because he had a relatively good working relationship with Guattari, the lead psychiatrist of the hospital, Jean Uri, worked with him to devise a treatment plan. Guattari innovated in a way that was controversial to the strict Lacanian Uri. He used a voice recorder, a revolutionary technology at the time, to record the speech of the schizophrenic. The idea was that instead of having an analyst repeat speech back to the patient, a machine would repeat it, giving a different kind of relationship to his own words. After they had him writing, they suggested he could write out the text of Franz Kafka's The Castle, one of Guattari's favorite classics. Through this, the schizophrenic was able to find an interface with others through Kafka, to the point of even dressing up like him. Through the progressive use of recording surfaces, such as this recorder and also later a notebook, Guattari was able to help RA find an internal structure that helped organize him well enough to participate in social activities. Alongside Guattari's account, RA's own journal notes are published in the English edition of Psychoanalysis and Transversality as well, titled Collapse of a Life Not Lived, Loss of the I. We could try to interpret the meaning of this text, but like trying to analyze the output of an AI, it would not lead to anything that really reveals anything about his inner world directly. What it is, instead, is a residue that reflects how RA's machine functions interfaced with the paper on that very day. Through this, we can build an intermittent analysis that over time allows RA to construct enough context to be able to function socially again. The real issue with generalized intelligence is that it is not intelligent to be generalized. It's a waste of resources. Specialization allows us to mitigate the cost of training a massive machine in everything by splitting that function across many machines that use its own structural limitations to allow for more efficient processing. If anything, assuming the centralized structure that this poster is suggesting is the exact opposite of Guattari. Part of the reason why I'm suspicious as well is because I am wondering what flows they want to connect. Although I say wondering in a way as if I don't already know. My interests and priority for AI moving forward are the following. 1. Reducing processing power and moving away from online implementations. 2. Prioritizing speed and optimization over accuracy, utilizing other machines to compensate for errors. 3. Emphasizing AI as a possibility generator machine rather than a generalized automator. 4. using structured machines to contextualize AI output in meaningful ways, similar to agentic implementations. 5. Discovering new ways to structure AI output before it is generated beyond RLHF. 6. Moving outside of linguistic constructs and generalizing paradigms for abstract machines. 7. Emphasis on open source models that prioritizes non-technical users with documentation and flexibility and an ecosystem of interchangeable components. The philosophy is to build AI operators similar as machines as in a larger ecosystem of interactions, to use them as part of a larger project to free people from the UI. In my opinion, UI represents a major bottleneck in liberating people's relation to media and technology, and thus not only should be analyzed more seriously in the context of AI, but it should be an active component of future AI research. In my opinion, I think that the real theoretical work for solving these problems is not ready yet, and there is nothing in the current research field that is seriously exploring the main questions of how AI interfaces with humans and machines beyond measuring in things such as psychological, ecological, and economic impact. Guattari's actual work has proven very useful in unpacking this question.